welcome back to another episode on Let's Talk Football Careers with myself, Barry, and today's guest, Simon Stainrod. Thanks for joining us, Simon. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, it's great. You're over in France, I believe, eh?
Yeah, I live down the south of France. I've done for 21 years and working on my tan, starting to get brown now.
Yeah, you obviously didn't like the Scottish weather. It was the only thing you didn't like in Scotland. It was the Scottish weather.
Yeah, I couldn't live with that, but there you go.
What I usually do at the start of my podcast is I run over a summary of yourself, right, just for anybody watching. So I've wrote down here, played for 11 clubs, 2 of whom you went on to manage, played over 570 competitive league matches and scored over 150 goals. You won Division 2 promotion as champions with QPR and runner-up in the FA Cup in the same year. You also won Division 1 with Falkirk in 1991. Happy with all that?
I'm happy with that. Apart from you should have the cup goals in as well. Scored a few cup goals and it gets my average up.
I do that, then we'll boost it up.
So yeah, I'm touching 200 with cup goals.
Is that how many it is? Because it's tough to get all the stats, in certain places and make sure you get them right. So I've wrote in here, I had league games, you'd done near enough 500 league games. So I've added on a bit another 70 to that for your competitive matches. And like you say, an extra 50 goals without wanting to miss out. But could we go through just for your youth, Simon? How was your upbringing? What kind of setup was it? Family support, etc. If you weren't a footballer, what would you have seen yourself doing as well?
Well, to be fair, I had a lot of support. Like family was just idyllic. Apart from we had a tragedy in the family that my sister died when she was 15 from a long illness, and I was 18 at the time, and I was playing in Sheffield United's first team in the Premier League, and it was like all glory for me and all agony for my sister, and I still find it difficult to get past that, Yeah, so I had an idyllic childhood with huge tragedy at the same time, and it's just strange, From a 10-year-old kid, I'd got my own key to the house. I was cooking for myself because mum and dad were always at hospital with my sister. My dad was playing football on a Saturday, training twice a week. He got a good job at British Steel as an accountant, and also worked evenings debt collecting. So, and I was I was up doing my paper round at 7:30 in the morning before I went to school, and so these things toughen you up, don't they? It's like I know everybody's got a story, but it was great. I lived just on the edge of Sheffield. We've got lovely countryside around us, and all the bad lads in the town centre which I used to knock about with. So,
Did you support Sheffield United as a young lad then?
What's what?
Did you support Sheffield United when you were young?
I did, yeah. My dad was a Wednesdayite. My dad played he was like as a young lad, he was at Sheffield Wednesday as a player, and I was always Sheffield United. But it's like for one player, I loved watching Tony Curry play football, and I still think he's the best footballer I've ever seen, played with, and he was just unbelievable. The things he could do with a ball, he's literally unbeatable for me.
I was speaking to Keith Hackett last week, and he was saying the same. He says he brought his name up and says what a player he was, and somebody clearly before my time. But it's amazing. I'll wait to look into his career, because everybody's said how good he was.
Yeah, well, Keith's president of the football team where my grandson plays now, in Sheffield, in Penistone, and he's only 14, and he's doing well with the football. But Keith's he's done a great job with his club. Like, it's just a small village club, and they're cracking on. He's I think he's president, but good fella, Keith. He was always a bit. I don't think he liked me being flash, and he used to book me for very little things, like telling him to piss off or something, But he's a good lad, Keith.
He's done so much for the game. After chatting with him, I mean, he was telling me he was born round about when the war ended, and right through from when he turned 18, right up to even the now, he's still working with the FA yet and trying to advance the game and things. Really good character, eh? But could we tap into you then? So 1975, I've put to 1979. Yeah, you were at Sheffield United. You played 67 league games and scored 14 goals. I mean, how did it all transpire that you moved up into the first team and just making your debut, etc.?
Well, I've got to be honest. Like when I was starting at Sheffield United, every year they signed 15 apprentices, and every year that meant they got to let go 15 apprentices at least, and so it was very cutthroat. And I think I was probably the last choice of the 15 of that year when we signed as apprentices. And I didn't even play my position. I don't think they knew where I played. I don't think they were aware of what I did as a player. Because like for school, I played like anywhere. For Sheffield boys, I played centre half. For Yorkshire boys, I played centre midfield. And then when I went to Sheffield United, they got nowhere for me to play, so they put me at left back. And it was like I just used to go for Megs. I used to play. We had a really good team. We were top of the Northern Intermediate League, playing like Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Newcastle, Leeds United, and we were like unbeaten. And I was playing in a game at left back against Leeds. We were 4-0 up before half time, and I started going for Megs on everything, and the first team manager was there, a fella called Ken Furphy, and they brought me off before half time, and so I was in the dressing room, and I got a right bollocking, for arsing around and what have you, and he said to me, "You son, you'll never make a player as long as you've got a hole in your arse." And so I bumped into him at a QPR game when I think I might have been leading scorer in the Premier League at the time. Yeah. And he said to me, he said, "I always knew you'd do well." And I thought, yeah, fair enough.
It's good though that you've managed to come through that and have a good career. But you imagine what you said to other kids and that, and other young players at the time.
Yeah, I mean, out of that team, there were 3 or 4 of us went on and played at a really good level, and at that time as well, getting into the first team at Sheffield United, I was just 17, and I scored on my I scored in the second game I played, and then I scored on my home debut against West Ham, and what the goal against West Ham was, if you did it now, on TV. They'd be going who's this? Because I mean, you beat 3 players on the edge of the box, curl it in the top corner, and it's like a winning goal, and it was, but it was all quite low key in comparison to how it is today. Like the game was much more intense than it is today, but off the field it was less intense. Because there's no TV, there's no Instagram, there's no. It's like a media circus now, isn't it? If you're a top end footballer, whereas I would play the game on the Saturday, against West Ham. Mum and Dad probably shooting off somewhere. I'd get on the bus home, and nobody would say a boo to me,
Even back then when you were younger, I mean, I remember that era, and say I was maybe 13, 14, and I was on the bus. And I remember seeing a boy that played with Dunfermline, where I was from, and we seen him, and he wasn't on the bus, but I'm sure we passed him in the street, but you never even approached him. He's there's a football player there, and you kind of had more a bit of freedom, a bit more respect as well.
Yeah, you definitely had freedom, but I even noticed it when I was managing or player managing in Scotland, and I lived either in Edinburgh or Glasgow most of the time. There was a little spell in St Andrews, but wherever you went out, somebody would come up and say hello to you, and they were always at you, can I get an autograph? Yeah. And in the early stage of my career, you know, it was a lot calmer, a lot quieter, you know.
But you never had the support there as well, in the sense of, like, you know, the football players now have got so much support in place, whereas you just had to deal with things yourself. If you went out for a drink, for example, and somebody started giving you a bit of nonsense, you just had to deal with it. You never had agents and everybody around you try to help you.
Absolutely, that's I mean, like different upbringing altogether. Any argy-bargy, you were straight in, like, you know. It's like,
but it wasn't in the papers the next day or on social media 10 minutes after it
no,
happened.
you can't do anything now, can you? It's like there's always a camera in your face.
So
I'd have been
different,
locked up. They'd been getting me out on bail for Saturday. So it's like,
imagine some of the stories we had on this podcast. But could we look at when you moved on to Oldham, 1979-1980 season? Was that a season or a season and a half you were at Oldham? Because it's split here.
no, it was like the back end of one season and the front end of the next season, and then I went to QPR. But in that time, I was like getting out of jail, because like the manager at United at that time didn't really like me. Harry Haslam. I mean, a lot of things he did were really good for me. He brought two coaches in. One's a Uruguayan that played for Seville, who was top goal scorer for Seville in Spain, and, like, you know, 35 goals in a season. So he's like a proper player. And the other fellow was an Argentinian called Oscar Arque, who was really, really technical. He was like, I mean, he could do stuff like, and so it was very interesting to train with them, and it was very beneficial. And but the manager was a bit of a knob. I mean, speaking of the dead, like, but he's like, we didn't get on. He used to call me the Hazard, but you know, at that time we got some good players as well. You know, we had he signed a player from what do you call them? What's it called? The team in red and white from Buenos Aires, River Plate.
Oh yeah.
So he signed Alessandro Sabella, who in later life was the manager of Messi when he finished second in the World Cup. And so I've been to Buenos Aires to see him as well. Like, you know, I went with the missus. We went to Argentina for a while and took him out for a bit of dinner. And he was such a nice fella, but an unbelievable player. Like, you know, like Davy Cooper level in Scotland. Similar style to Davy Cooper, but a number 10. And his main opposition for playing for Argentina was Maradona. And apparently Harry Haslam wanted to buy out Maradona, and he said, no, you can't have him, but you can have this one. And he, I mean, like, they bought him for, say, 300 grand and sold him to Leeds a few years later, or a couple of years later, doubled the money, I think. So, you know, at that time, it's big money. And he was such a nice fella, and really funny. But yeah, so it was interesting playing with him. And you know, and at that time, I ended up getting pushed out because he didn't think he got room for me and Alex in the same team.
But I'm got in here that you've got 69 league games and 21 league goals at your time at Oldham, eh? So I mean,
is that what it is?
Yeah. So you made a name for yourself. I've put here. Eh? This is where you really.
Yeah. Well, when I went there, when I went there, they were bottom of the league, and we'd played them the Saturday before with Sheffield United, and I was substitute, and came on. It was 0-0, and I made one, and I think I scored the other one, and I was only on for 20 minutes, but I took the piss a bit, like, and
not making again.
Yeah, and it was they signed me after the game. Record transfer fee. How much?
I've got down here 270,000 was what you moved to QPR, but I've not got down for the Oldham move.
Well, record transfer fee for Oldham Athletic, 60,000.
Wow, there's players in the league on wages at that now. It's crazy, eh? Weekly wages.
I know. There you go. And
but what I mean, still would be able to say at the time I was Oldham's, you know, highest ever signing.
Aye, but at the time, like, they were bottom of the league, and I went there, we didn't stop winning. Like, we were just banging goals in right, left, and centre, and they were a good set of players, to be fair, and a really, really good set of lads. And I'd never really had that at Sheffield United. Being a local lad, like, I don't think you get the same appreciation as you do when you get signed by a team and they really want you. And the manager was good, the coaching was good, and it was just good fun. And in the end, we finished halfway up the league, Oldham, and Sheffield United got relegated to third division. So I was like, and even though I'm a fan of United, I was actually quite pleased because, like,
I just an element of saying, I told you so. Here's what you missed out on.
Exactly. When it's your job, like, you don't mind if somebody suffers at your cost, do you?
Definitely, so, especially when they're about to let you suffer yourself. So
exactly. I had a good time at. I used to get a bit of press as well at Oldham if I'm playing against. Remember playing against Chelsea and, like, taking the piss a bit against Chelsea. We won 2-0, I think, and they got, like, you'd have proper reporters from London who've come up for the game, and I used to get a little bit of national press, and that's when I went to QPR. Chelsea tried to sign me, actually, before I went to QPR.
I've wrote that down. Interest from Chelsea, but it was Terry Venables that took you to QPR, I believe.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a question that I know people would like to hear answer to? Is what was Terry Venables like as a person, a manager? Somebody to learn off. I mean, how did you get along with Terry?
Yeah, he was good at everything he did. Like, he could tell a story. He could speak in public, no problem. He held your attention as players. He gave players, like, a platform to speak if they wanted to. We'd always have a meeting, and he'd go around to players and say, "Well, what do you think?" And this, that, the other. And so he had a lot of respect for any of the players, the young players, the old players. He treated everybody equally, and but he was a fantastic coach. He was just like, he got ideas that were way ahead of his time. Like, he was a bit like, for me, he's like a more fun Guardiola. Guardiola I find a bit boring because it's all possession football. Well, we used to play possession football, but a bit more like the fella that runs Paris Saint-Germain. They keep the ball, but they're always trying to score a goal. And Terry went to Barcelona, didn't he? And did well with them. They won the league for the first time in 17 years, I think, and they also got to the final of the European Cup the next year. I went to Barcelona. Yeah, he tried to sign me at Barcelona. I turned him down.
Is that right? Oh my God! Because I mean, you were at QPR for 5 years. So was this just after he joined Barcelona then? Or?
Yeah. He'd gone to Barcelona. And he'd got Steve Archibald playing up front for him, and Bernd Schuster in midfield, and they wanted a third international player, like, And I went and spent a week with him, and I didn't like there was a director who actually became chairman, called Juan Gaspar, and I found him to be, like, not honest, and so I ended up coming back, but I'd already left QPR. I'd gone to Sheffield Wednesday. When Terry went, I kind of had a mental breakdown. And I was like, I was playing for QPR, and Alan Muller, who was manager, and it's just not the same thing. And he didn't give you any respect, and so I just ended up falling out with him. And then in my last 2 games for QPR, I got sent off in both games for fighting, and and I got a 2-week suspension from the club. And in the 2-week suspension, I got sold to Sheffield Wednesday, which is my hometown.
So that was how the move came about.
Yeah, and they were doing well.
How was that received? Because was that Howard Wilkinson that was in charge then?
Yeah. And Howard used to be the assistant manager of the Sheffield boys team when I was playing for him. So I already knew what he was like, and I don't know why I went there, really, but But we had a very successful time. It's only there for about 9 months, I think, or a year.
I wrote down here, sorry, Mel Sterling was there. I've wrote down Gary Megson and Lee Chapman as well. Is that who was on that team?
Yeah. Imre Varadi, like, the Mike Lyons playing centre half, the old Everton captain. It was a really good team. Like it was a Premier League team, and they were really, really, really fit. Like you've never seen a team as fit as Howard prepared them. And we used to terrorise teams just by getting about them. Like, it was a bit like Wimbledon on speed.
Yes, it was just sprinting about just constantly. But there's a lot to be said for that because, as long as you can keep the fitness up and you can do that and maintain that for the majority of the game, you will tire teams out. You will win the ball back. Eh? The fans love it. The fans absolutely love it. Eh?
Well, the fact that the fans at that time, our ground was sold out. Like, it'd be 45, 50,000 for a home game, and they were loving it. And like everything was like get the ball in the box, get it in, like get crosses in, get long throws, corners. Brian Marwood, he was playing. He works for Man City now, and he did well. He was like a bit of quality on the wing, like and we had a good team, but Howard didn't like me either. So it's like, so he got. Well, he wanted me to go to Barcelona, and I ended up going to Villa.
Barcelona, by the way, how much were they offering? Did you mind me asking? How much were they offering wage-wise at that time? I mean, you must have been. That was 1985-ish, 86.
1985. The verbal offer, which wasn't the same as when they came around with a contract. The verbal offer was 200 grand a year tax free plus 200 grand signing on fee tax free.
Mental. Eh?
So I mean, it'd be nice if somebody gave you that today, wouldn't it? But
it would be all right. Some of them are on that a week. Some of them are on that a week now. Eh? It's absolutely mental. And they're not half the players that mental.
But it was, I didn't get as much as that at Villa.
No, I could imagine. Eh? Touching into Villa, was that Graham Turner that signed you? I've got down here.
Yeah.
And I'll just summarise again. I've got down a £350,000 transfer, 63 league games, 16 goals. Doug Ellis was the chairman.
Yeah, that's the one. I scored a lot of cup goals there. I was like,
can I touching on your cup goals, right? Your debut versus Exeter in the League Cup, you scored all 4 goals in that game. Eh?
Yeah. That's one of my favorite images after a game, because Sheffield Wednesday were playing that night as well, and Howard had sold me to Sheffield to Villa, and I was imagining his face sat on the bus coming back when the radio's on. He got like Exeter 0, Aston Villa 4, and Simon Stainrod scored all 4. Still cheers me up thinking about what his face must have dropped. But
I think you get a lot of joy in entertaining, but you also get a lot of joy in kind of sticking up people as well at the same time.
Well, it's kind of the same thing, isn't it? Like, take the mickey and having a bit of a laugh, like, it's a bit like being a fan. It's a bit like being a fan playing.
And see if you can keep that being a fan when you're playing, the fans will buy into it all day long, as long as you run about.
Yeah, well, they did. I mean, like, I've never been anywhere and played where anybody said like, well, he's shite, like, I mean, I weren't so great at Ayr United, but I was like, I was 37 years of age, I think, when I was playing there. So.
That's right. You were just getting to the team. You didn't know what to finish. You ended. You were managing there at the same time as well. Eh?
At Ayr.
Did you manage it as well?
Yeah. I was managing, and it was so complicated. Like, you were just changing one bad player for another bad player. You got no money, like, couldn't do anything. And we had, to be honest, when I went there, we did really well to stay up. The lads really bought into having a go and like having a bit more confidence and taking chances. But I did say to the board of directors, I said, if they had league reconstruction and it made the second division much shorter, all the best teams stayed in the second division with like more teams coming down from the Premier League and less teams coming up. So it became a much more difficult league. And I just said to him, I said, if you don't spend any money on players, we'll get relegated. And we got relegated. So, I mean, it's like mathematical. You can only do so much, can't you? Like, you know.
100%. Just looking into, just as you're, before you head over to France, you joined Stoke, and I've got down here, finished 11th in Division 2, and I've wrote down key names, Steve Bold, Lee Dixon, and Graham Shaw was in that side as well. Is that right?
Yeah, we had quite a few good players in there. There's like, ex-Man United players, Arsenal players. Brian Talbot played for him for a bit. And Mick Mills was manager. But there, I mean, like, it's a really good club, Stoke City, and the owners are really lovely people. Like, you know, I mean, like Peter Coates, who was a director at the time, is like a real gentleman. And what they did wrong was they didn't have proper training facilities. They had a pitch on the back of the ground, and it was like 3 feet deep in mud. It was terrible. And then some days you come in and go, oh, well, we can't train there. We'll go in the gym, and the gym was tiny. And you've got Steve Bold coming in trying to kill you against a wall, and it's like, you know, it's no fun.
No. And I mean, you look at Stoke now; it's so different. They're up to date with everything's in place. But back then, I mean, you're talking, it was nearly 20, 30 years ago, nearly, you know, that you were there. And it's funny how you see the game's advanced, especially as we go through your career as well.
Yeah, but to get the training facilities they've got now, Stoke, are second to none. Like, it's fantastic. But what they had was it was scandalous. Like, you know, and like they got some good players, but like, you know, training was a bit rough. You know, like if you they were all out to get me, like, you know, and
if you injure me, who's going to go?
Do you know Chris Kamara?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Good
lad. Well, Chris was after me for about. So you spent 6 weeks trying to break my leg, and
just couldn't catch it.
So I mean, a nice lad as well, like, you know, but terrible in training. He'd do anybody.
Did you just try and nutmeg him all the time? You just poking the bear?
Exactly. So he's like,
it's funny when you look back, but again, these are all things that wouldn't get reported at the time. But nowadays, you'd be saying, "Oh, there was a fighting training over this and that," and it actually brought you guys closer during the games and that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like much more character and like just joy in finding joy out of difficult circumstances. You know, like coming back from a game on a bus, like, and you know, somebody's had a bit of a nightmare and he's been slaughtered in the dressing room after the game, and then you get on the bus, like, and you have a beer, and all of a sudden you got your arm around him and like, and saying, you know, come on, it's going to be all right. You'll be all right next game. I don't think they have that like camaraderie now. You know, it's
manufactured.
The camaraderie they've got is like, you know, how's your Lamborghini or my Ferrari's ace, like, you know, and it's like
go to the car park and take pictures of them and put them on their Instagram. It's madness, eh?
It's just, well, it's changed, hasn't it? Like, you know, I mean, it's not jealousy. It's just, I think it was. I know it gets followed so much, football now, but I think the real fans, like the real football fans who love football, were in our time. Like, you know, even the hooligans, like, you know, they were, you know, there was a better class of hooligan there in those days than there are now.
As long as they've got the badge on the sleeve now, you all know the badge that everybody wears and all that. You're sorted as a hooligan, eh?
Yeah, exactly. So,
but anyway, ask about France. You mentioned France. You fell in love with France, clearly, because you were telling me you're still there yet. But you went to Strasbourg, and then can you do me a wee bit justice? How do I pronounce it? Is it Rouen that you joined as well, or Rouen?
Rouen. Yeah,
that's closest to what I was going to say. So how did this move to France come about then? I mean, you've spent your whole career in England. We're at 1988, and then
I had a bit of a fallout with Mick Mills, and I did have an agent. So my agent was very successful, and he got some calls going, like, you know, with various people around various countries, and because of there was a car crash, and a very good young player got killed, and Strasbourg were allowed to sign a player because they had like transfer windows that they didn't have in England at the time, and they were allowed to sign what they call a joker. So they signed me, and I took this lad's place, and I'm still best friends with his best friend, you know, from playing there. He was another one of the players, like, he actually went on to play for PSG, and I think he was in the French squad as well. Like, but he's still pals. He lives not far from me now, and I see him now and again. But you know, the chance came through adversity, and I really liked it. Like, the training was great. The facilities were unbelievable in comparison to what we got in England at the time. They were miles in front, and they played good football, but they were a little bit short of players, and they had injuries, and it was a tough season. But the chairman of the club was one of the creators of Paris Saint-Germain, a fellow called Daniel Hechter, who's like clothes designing, and he's still got a big clothes company, and so he got banned for dodgy transfer dealing when he was chairman of Paris Saint-Germain, and he came back from his ban and bought Strasbourg, and then he decided to take me there. So
it just shows how a series of events all leads to how you're effectively living your life now. There's also a lovely part of that you're living your life over in France with what tragically happened with the young lad as well.
It was all going well in Strasbourg, and then I was about to sign a longer contract, and the French authorities in the last minute changed the rules. So we had, in the season I went there, we got 3 foreign players, and the following season they were allowed 4. So they signed an extra player from Germany, and then and I was holding out for more money, and they agreed. So everything was all right, like, and they called me to come in, and I thought I was coming in to sign it. And he said, "Look, I'm really sorry, but showed me a letter from the federation saying we've decided they stuck to three foreign players and not 4, and I basically not got a job. I was out of work." So
like that, for that to that. So you ended up joining the team that you just pronounced for me,
Rouen.
No, he's with a Scottish accent.
It's a big town in. It's not far from Paris, and and we were second division, and but they got no money. We had a decent team, and we did well. We got in the playoffs to go up, and the players not been paid for 3 months, and we were in the playoffs, and we're still not being paid. So I went on strike, and I ended up taking the club to court, and I won my case and got a free transfer, and that's when I went to Falkirk. Could have gone to not Ferencváros. What's the one in Turkey?
Fenerbahce.
Did
you like them as well? You got an offer for them?
I could have gone to Fenerbahce or Falkirk.
Oh, wow.
On a Falkirk on £1 a week, or Fenerbahce on a fortune. But
excuse me, you were 31-year-old, and I think this is where you've got to a stage in your career where you're like, I really want to enjoy my football now. You got the chance to work under Jim Jeffries. I mean, what was he like when you met him? Did he sell the cup to you right away?
He was, well. There was also what's his name? David Holmes
Yeah.
from Rangers, who
Mhm.
came in as chief executive at the club, and they wanted to sign somebody that like would make a difference, like, you know. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure about how much Jim was into it. Like, I think he'd have to be into it because otherwise he wouldn't have done it. But before I signed for them, they were playing a six-a-side competition in Edinburgh,
Mhm.
and they asked me if I wanted to play. I said, "Well, might as well. I don't, you know, I'm not bothered. Like, you know, I'm quite confident. I'm not going to look at a knob, like, you know." So we had this competition, and there were like Hibs, Hearts, Dundee United, Dundee, and some other teams. So about 8 teams, and we won the competition. And I mean, it was too easy, like, you know. I mean, it was literally too easy. And after the game, I said to Jim Jeffries, said, is that their youth teams then that we just played against? And he went, "Hey, no, son, that's their first team." And I was like, "Jim, that's too easy. I'm telling you now, that's too easy." And so we signed after, but he couldn't pay me wages. They like got no money either. Well, they had money because they ended up paying it. I ended up earning a fortune that season with bonuses, and I was on a gold bonus. I was getting like paid per game. I was like, you know, a little cup run. I played nearly every game. Played every game with an injury.
Yeah, I can read here, right? Listen to this, right? I've taken note of this, right? And I'll just refer to my phone, right? But I was mentioning on, I think it's X, it's called now, but there was a lad that runs the Falkirk Stand, it's called, right? And this is his, I says to him, I says, go and just, for a Falkirk fan's point of view, go and just tell me, touch into what Simon Stainrod was like. His tricks and flicks and his absolute dislike of defenders were something that we weren't used to as a smaller team within the Scottish game. His confidence was ridiculous, which meant some players thought they'd try and bring him down a peg or two, but that just enticed him to sharpen his elbows. And if he didn't fancy that, he'd just nutmeg them, flick it over their head, or simply wave and make them fall on their arse. He was just something different to what a lot of people had seen in the Scottish game, a complete maverick. I mean, you can't argue with that. Brilliant, eh?
Yeah.
So, I mean, how does that make you feel hearing that? That's got to be great looking back now at this age. And I mean, in that Falkirk team, you were mixing with Ian Westwater, John Hughes, Eddie May, Kevin McAllister. And to stand out like that, I mean, brilliant, eh?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was good fun. I only played football for fun, so it was good fun. And yeah, the physical side of it just used to make me laugh, like, you know. So you know, I used to go boxing as a kid, and in the dressing room, like Yogi Hughes, he's quite tasty, like, you know. And we used to go boxing before games, and the lads just you know, they'd be looking like, what are these two doing? And so, you know, a couple of Scottish centre halves is not going to upset me too much, like, you know.
I'm going to take you back to your younger part of your career as well, because that's what it was like, you know, when you first started your career, and that kind of diminished the English game. You went to France, came back to Scotland, and you've got, you know, you're more experienced now, eh?
Yeah. It's good observation. It is like that. It's like when I was at Sheffield United playing as a young kid, I played against Forest, and they got a centre half. Can't remember his name now. He looked like he just got out of like Wormwood Scrubs, and he was like he scar down here, and he saw straight away what I was like, and he was having none of it, and he mullered me like, not when the ball was there. He just kept punching me in the side of the face, like all the.
Yeah, wait a minute. Just like in here. Did you ever nutmeg him?
Yeah. No, well, no. I'll tell you what I did nutmeg. I'll tell you what I did nutmeg, and he didn't like it, and he did me afterwards, and we beat him. at Liverpool in a cup game with Liverpool with Sheffield. Graham Souness. I made in. It was a mistake.
Was it a mistake before it or after it?
Yeah, I shouldn't have done it. He's like, yeah.
I heard I was talking to somebody and they were talking about one of these team talks when they got the Rangers job and they dropped points. I can't remember who it was. It might have, no, it wasn't when you were at Dundee because that was before it. But they dropped points and he said, he says, Graham Souness came right into the dressing room and he says, well, usually be getting sacked before I fucking get sacked. He says, and that was what it was like all the time.
He's a really good bloke, and he in football he actually does speak sense. Like, you know, he's like some of the people on TV. It's like, you know, I can understand why he don't want to do it anymore because it's like you know, he's changed so much. He's changed to such a degree that people like us, we're not valid anymore. Like, you know, it's so, you know, I mean, there's so many people in the game now in football who've not been for like anything to do with football, but you know, they can work out what statistics are and data and, like, you know, analyze that. And, you know, I was just at a game actually in Nice, played Sheffield United in a friendly closed doors game. So Sheffield United have flown over, played this game, and there must have been 20 analysts, like taking everything they did. Everything was filmed. There were 2 drones in the sky, like filming it from on high, and it's like
it's like what this. The game's gone there for that side of things.
Well, it's you know, it's progress, isn't it? But, you know, it's sometimes nice to have things which aren't quite so complicated, and but it has become very complicated now. Everything's complicated these days. There you go.
Right. Can I just tap into this, right? And you can just, there's going to be a video up and I'll talk about this anyway, but Stainrod scored a fantastic halfway line goal for Falkirk versus St Johnstone at McDermott Park in September 1991. Falkirk won the game 3-2. Now, I know you've spoken about this loads, right? But listen to this from a fan's point of view. We had kick-off after conceding, and Simon asked another Falkirk legend, Kevin McAllister, to pass it on to him. As he saw the keeper off his line, the pass promptly came and Stainrod shot from the halfway line, whipping over Lindsay Hamilton in the goal, to the delight of us sitting behind the goal. And that's Dale, age 45. You can still mind that like it's yesterday, can you?
Well, it's a disappointment that the videos like never come out, and it's like, you know,
I couldn't find it. I found interviews.
No, but it's like it's Alec Totten. So a pal of his has told me he's got it, and he's just never shown it, and I don't get that. It's just like he says he does. His friend told me he didn't want it to be shown because he's friends with Lindsay Hamilton, and he didn't want him to be embarrassed. Get a life.
It's like, come
get a
on,
life.
It's like, come on, man.
If you're Lindsay Hamilton, like, you know, if I was in his shoes, you know, I'd accept it and go like, well done, like, you know, like, won't worry me about people seeing it.
It probably would have made more of his career than what, you know, it would have been someone that we would have looked back on and says, can you remember when he was in goals and that happened? And it's a shame. It's a shame.
But even after the game, like Lindsay Hamilton, he must have been a little bit. He must have been a little bit insecure, I think. But he said to the press, like, yeah, it was just luck. And like the press said that to me afterwards, I went like, I'll tell you what, next time we play St Johnstone, I'll score another lucky one. And so I scored direct from a corner. And again, as soon as I hit it, and instead of like, you know, waiting for it to go in, I already know it's going in, and like I was waving to him as it's going over his head, like, you know.
That was brilliant.
So
it's that side of the game that we're missing now. It's a shame, because you should be able to enjoy it as well.
Well, I mean, look at Jack Grealish. You know, Jack could do all these things, and he's gone to Man City, and he's basically become a possession-based, pass it backwards, sideways player.
Aye.
And it's like, it's horrific. It's like,
aye. The amount of times that he's got a chance to get to the edge of the box and cut it back or cross it in or shoot whatever, and he's programmed in to go back away now. And the reason they signed him was for his abilities.
I'll give you an analogy. It's like Picasso working for a decorating company.
Aye,
and he's like,
taken away, yeah.
And he's just roller painting walls all day instead of like doing what he can do. It's ridiculous, and I don't, you know, I can't appreciate that. I don't care what they've won. I can't appreciate how they've won it.
No. And do you struggle to watch football now that you're retired? And I mean, I ask this question a lot to retired players, but how do you find it watching football nowadays on the telly and that, and being at games? Is it hard?
I'd rather go to a game than watch it on TV. I find it hard to watch it on TV because there's not enough happening. And when I was a kid growing up, we didn't really have that many live games on TV. We had highlights. So I'm educated on highlights. And you know, I don't want to watch Man City winning 1-0 away to Arsenal playing keep ball. Like, you know, and when we used to do keep ball in training, I've been known to walk off.
Just like,
you know, just like, you know, what are the goals for? You know,
and you're there to express yourself. I mean, you know, you want to enjoy it, eh?
Yeah. So I've been to. I don't mind going to Sheffield United and watch a game now and again, and I'd go to Sheffield Wednesday and watch a game now and again. But they're in trouble, aren't they? Their chairman's like, you know, he must be completely bonkers because he's like. It just seems horrible what happening there. I actually feel sorry for you.
Gassama joined Rangers for $2.5 million, and we're going off their head. He's worth treble that, eh?
I know he's decent. Like, you know, he'll do really well in Scotland, and he's quite young, isn't he still? So I would imagine that they'll sell him for you know, they'll quadruple the money.
Aye, and that's the policies up here now, eh? You'll notice that with a lot of Scottish teams, we're all buying players, but they're buying them, and it's happening all over Europe, eh? You know, you see it, eh? They're buying to sell, eh?
Yeah.
It's a tough one, but it's the fans that struggle with it because obviously you get a player, you really enjoy them, and if they do too well, you're halfway through the season, you're saying if they keep playing like this will be the last we'll see them, eh?
To
move on,
exactly.
But could I ask you just, I mean, your time at Falkirk, you got a wee message for the Falkirk fans, because this is where I've had the best sort of feedback on yourself up here is Falkirk, eh?
Well, I'm just really pleased that they're back in the Premier League, and that I can tell people that I used to play for Falkirk now because they're in the Premier League.
It sounds easier, eh?
And,
great memories, great time.
Yeah, and I tell you, I did something. I didn't really think about it, but I did a good thing. I rang John McGlynn after I got his number off somebody at the club, like, and I rang him and
brilliant
said how well he'd done, and I think I could tell he was a bit surprised, like, you know, that be bothered. And
back to cup, don't you?
He's like, you know, he's done a great job, hasn't he? Really, I mean, it's like fantastic, and it's just, you know, it's nice being a part of history and like that people remember you. But I'm really glad that they've moved on from where they were, because they were in the shambles, weren't they?
And I mean, 3-4 seasons ago, they were 2 leagues down, and I mean, they've got back-to-back promotions, and they had a hard season. They had a really good season last season, but a tough season in the Championship.
It's hard to get out. Yeah, it's difficult to get out of that league, you know. And Paul Smith's his assistant, isn't he? He played with us. He came to Falkirk after we'd got promoted, and he did well. He was a good player, Paul. I like playing with him. He was like, you could tell what he was going to do. Like, he was a proper footballer. He was all right.
It's good. It's great to hear it. It's good times. I mean, we're talking there. You're 31 to 33-year-old. You then got the player manager job, I believe. Did that come straight in, or were you a player and then a manager? Did you get offered the player manager job at Dundee?
No, I was at Falkirk, and in my opinion, they didn't do what it was said they were going to do. So, like, because I was playing for £1 a week and bonuses and what have you. And if we got promoted, I was going to get whatever I was getting as a salary. And they didn't want to do it. And so I carried on playing. And then around Christmas time, Dundee came in for us. And so I was ready to go. Really, they were in the second division as well, and they were relatively well placed. I think they were third or fourth.
Yeah.
And it was with Ian Munro, but I did get a vibe that Ian Munro didn't really want me to go there. But I had no idea that they had plans for Ian Munro to leave and me to take his place. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And it was a bit embarrassing, like, in the beginning. But then it's an opportunity, isn't it? You're young. I think I was 31 or 32. 32.
Well, at Falkirk, I've got done 31 to 33, so you had just been there or thereabouts when you were at Dundee.
I would have been about 33, yeah. And for the previous 4 seasons, Dundee had finished just outside getting promoted with all the same players. So all these players were like used to being like almost, but not quite. So you got to convince, because you can't do any transfers at this time. You got to convince the players that you've got that you're gonna do things differently to the point where you're gonna win the league. And we did. We won the league. So, and at that time, I thought football management's easy, isn't it? So
yeah, you can do this.
yeah. So, and then we went in the Premier League, and the chairman was away a lot, and he said, Simon, I'm going to give you license to hang yourself, like, give you the rope to hang yourself. He said, it's you that decide. You do everything. You decide, and I'll back you. But he was always away in America, and the directors, I didn't give enough time to the directors who don't know anything about football really, and I kind of treated them like they didn't know anything about football. And
you're younger then as well. You were 33, 34, eh?
Yeah, I was, a bit naive, a bit stupid, like, but we signed a lot of really good players, like two current Polish internationals, Dariusz Adamczuk and Piotr Wojciechowski.
Did you sign Den Beeman? Did you have Ivo Den Beeman there at the time?
Yeah, I signed him from Montrose, was it?
I spoke to Ivo. It was Montrose. I spoke to Ivo, and he said he had a great season there at Dundee. He loved it. Eh? You beat Rangers 4-3, did you know?
He what?
You beat Rangers 4-3 in the game as well.
Yeah. He was playing in that game, Ivo. He was like, he was instrumental in our team. Ivo. He was like up and down on the right hand side. He's like 6'3", 6'4", can run all day. He was useful. He was good on corners and free kicks because he's so tall, like, And
Dave Robertson that played with Rangers. I spoke to him, and he says that Ivo Den Beeman, he says, I came up against so many players, he says, but Ivo Den Beeman was a nightmare to play against. And he said that, I think, in a book later on.
Very good.
But you've also got in that team there, Simon, Kevin Radcliffe, Graham Ricks, Jim Layton, Jim Duffy, a young Billy Dodds, and a young Neil McCann as well, eh?
Yeah. It's they've all had good careers. I educated them all apart from Jim Layton, who's older than me.
Can't take the credit for him, but everybody else that was on didn't yourself, eh?
Yeah.
But you enjoyed your time at Dundee. I mean, that 4-3 game, was that about your 4th game managing or something then?
In the Premier League, it would have been, yeah. But it was just everything was going right, like, and the lads had got a bit of confidence. We had a really good camaraderie in the dressing room. You know, there was no falling out. Everybody was on the same side, like, you know, and it was good. And the foreign lads that I brought in, they really bought into it as well. Do you remember Dusan Verto? Or do you not remember him?
Yeah, the offhand, I take you have a look at
Du-
it.
Dusan's Czechoslovakian, like, and he can play centre half, fullback, centre midfield, and he is he's the nicest fella in the world and a complete assassin. He'd like, and he was, and like the lads just loved him, like, you know, and he was like, it was just great. And we did all the right things. We used to do oddball things like, you know, go to the beach for the day, do a bit of training, and then in the afternoon go to a restaurant, then go to a pub, and then go back to the training ground. And we'd be having a shower, like talking about what we're doing, and the atmosphere amongst the lads was great, like, you know.
I think there's a lot to be said for that in football, eh? You know, the dressing room and that, eh?
We used to do that if we'd had a bad result, as opposed to if we'd had a good result, like, you know.
Yeah.
So try and lift them up a bit, like, you know. And we were doing it with no money, you know. Like, training facilities were poor there. You know, if we'd had a proper training ground, we might have been even better, like, you know. But then,
because you finished 10th in that season, eh?
Yeah, but then I got a sack.
Aye, and I mean, what's that all about? I mean, what the hell? It's like you feel you're doing a good job, and then that happened.
I got the sack on the basis that, remember Jim McLean at Dundee United?
Of course, yep.
Yeah, he was at Dundee before, and they lost him. I think he was assistant manager at Dundee, and they lost him, and he went to Dundee United, and Dundee has always been underneath them ever since he went there, and he got the same vibe that Jim Duffy was, like, you know, doing a lot of the work, and that they'd rather keep him and make him manager and find a way of getting shut of me, like, and, you know, do it for less money. And I've got to tell you, I think if they'd had a bit more foresight, and if me and Jim would have stuck together for, say, 3 years, I think we could still be managing now. I think, like, you know, I think because we were a good team together. Because he's completely different to me, and he's like, you know, I was like more of a manager, and he was very, very good at coaching. And so, you know, I could say I want this, and he'd find a way of, like, doing that coaching through the week, and then on a Saturday you'd go like, well, I'll tell you what, that's worked. So and you know, and I'm pretty good at keeping people confident, as opposed to, you know, I can get the best out of people, I think, as opposed to teaching them how to play football. I couldn't teach them how to play football, could I? It's like,
no,
you know,
I mean, how do you teach somebody what comes natural to yourself? It's impossible. Eh?
You can't. It's like, I mean, I play golf now. I played tennis. I mean, I stopped playing football. I started playing tennis, and I was useless because I couldn't do it in the correct way. So then I started to develop it on instinct. I ended up being, like, you know, relatively good tennis player. Now I can't play tennis because my ankle's gone. Like, I've got a replacement ankle, and so I play golf now, and golf is even worse than tennis. Like, you know,
imagine.
You've got to comply to how it is, and I find it really difficult. But there you go.
But a challenge as well. Eh? That's one thing you could come back to Scotland for, as the golf courses here are amazing. Eh? I mean, I don't know if you got a chance to sample any when you were here.
Yeah, no. One of the things I'd like to do is come back to Falkirk and have a game of golf with Sam McGivern, because he's off too, and it'd be nice to. That'd be good. The last time I came, it was great. Like, I did a little tour of Dundee, Falkirk, and QPR, doing a talk, and I was amazed, really emotionally knocked back by the reception. Well, QPR was like immense. It was good in Dundee. We were like four ex-managers on a questionnaire thing, and it was quite busy. And I was surprised how well that went. And then Falkirk was just like it's like I'd never been away. There was like
No.
hundreds of people at a dinner, like just for that. And I was a bit taken aback by it, to be honest.
Yeah. It's good though. It's good that you can leave an impact. You know, that's what football is all about. And you'll forget that sometimes when you're actually involved in the game as a player. But if you put in a shift, and especially up here in Scotland, if you put in a shift, give everything you've got, and have that added element of the ability to, you know, beat players and score goals, you'll always be respected.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So what's next then? I mean, you're living in France. I've touched in here. You've still got match. Have you still got match day media?
No,
No,
that
when
went
did
bust.
that finish?
That went bust in when they had the financial crisis.
Yeah, during
So
COVID.
it was doing well. We had like 14 Premier League clubs all signed up, like
Aye. Yeah.
doing
What did you do with Ben
promotional.
Arthur?
What about Ben Arthur?
Aye. Did you have him on the books or sanction some form of transfer to Newcastle or something like that?
Yeah, I did his transfer from Marseille to Newcastle. Yeah,
Aye.
but
And how that side of the game, that must be something that obviously we do see a lot of, but that must, you know, you enjoyed that as
yeah,
well, eh?
it's. I mean, at that time, it was going really well with taking French players to English clubs, but that also has changed. I mean, you can go on Chat GTP now, and you can put in you can design a player, and Chat GTP will come up with 3 players or even more
Mental, eh?
of the exact style that you just and price, and they don't need me anymore. Like, it's like
No.
I was giving clubs players that they could really make money on. Like well, 2 examples at Newcastle. Sissoko, basically a free transfer, went to Tottenham for £30 million,
Right, yeah.
and Yohan Cabaye went for €5 million to Newcastle and sold to PSG for £25 million. Now, I've made a lot of money for a club there, haven't I? It's me that's done it from A to Z.
Aye.
And yeah, now it's a little bit more difficult. Well, it's a lot more difficult, and also French football has changed. It's like there's a real African accent to French football now. There's like a lot of African, not necessarily born in Africa, but African family players, and they come with an entourage. Like
It's changed days, eh?
yeah. I mean, with Yohan Cabaye, it was so like easy dealing. Like, I mean, he turns up, he's got a suit on, got a tie on, he looks the business, he has a meeting with the directors, he speaks a little bit of English. He's got one fella representing him, who's a lawyer, who's keeps quiet, don't try to rock the boat, doesn't say no, I'm not happy with this deal, I want another deal. He's like, got a brain.
Yeah.
And then and now the greed is incredible. It's like
Take over,
it's so difficult to do. It's like if you were running a football club now, it must be like it'd be hard to do with your own money. It's all right if you're doing it like backed by a country. If you were doing it with your own dosh,
no, you wouldn't sleep at night. No. Could I just ask, right? See, as I always round up, Simon, right? Could I ask you to name your best set of 11 players that you played with? And
11.
Well, say a 4-4-2, so you can put yourself in there or beside them. It's up to yourself. But just who's the sort of best goalie, etc., that you played with?
Peter Hooker, QPR.
Yeah.
Mel Sterland. Centre halves. Centre halves that I've played with. Bob Hazel, big black lad for QPR, and I really liked playing with Alan Evans at the Scottish centre half for Aston Villa.
Yeah,
he's a good player. Left back Tony Dorigo.
Aye. So when did you play with him? Who was he with when you were there?
Villa.
Was it Villa? Because I always mind he was with Leeds as well, eh?
Yeah. Gordon Cowans, midfield.
Yeah.
Tony Curry, midfield. Alex Sabella, midfield.
Yeah.
Alan Woodward, Sheffield United, right winger.
That's not easy to say with a Scottish accent, by the way.
But bit like Peter Lorimer, he was.
Yeah, great player.
Strikers, so 2 strikers. Sam McGiven.
Falkirk Ridge.
Yeah. Sam McGiven and me.
And that team out 2 years up there, going a bit nutmegging and entertaining the fans. It's brilliant, man. Honestly, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to chat with you, Simon. And I hope everybody's enjoyed it as much as I have. It's been brilliant. Just a wee trip in memory lane.
It's nice to look back on things, so I appreciate your time as well. And thanks for asking me on. It's been good fun.